Welcome to Fantasy or Reality, the GPP. Whatever road you took to get here doesn't matter. What matters is you're here. And my hope is that we all can help one another in this journey.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Oh, hello, everyone. It's your friend here, Stevie D. I'm back for another installment of this here podcast. I'm gonna try something a little different here. I hope it sounds all right. I am recording this on my phone right now because I would like to start doing more of these episodes, but I find it difficult to find time to sit down and do it while I'm at home. And I'd like to do more than just once a month. So I'm going to give this a shot, and hopefully the sound quality is okay when I do these ones. Um, I started doing different routes at work, and I'm basically at a warehouse waiting to be taken in to be unloaded. So instead of just sitting here and staring out my window or listening to another podcast, I'm going to try to see if this will work. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. That's all right. But I'm going to give this one a shot. So, welcome to my first phone podcast. I hope it sounds all right. Hopefully, there's not too much background noise. I don't know how this is going to work out, but we shall see, shall we? All right, let's jump into it. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about my weekend and kind of equate it to some recovery stuff, all the fun stuff that your friend Stevie D here does. Oh, there goes a golf cart, something going by. Oh, hopefully that's not too loud. I guess we'll see that too. Um, so let's see. Saturday, Sunday, completely different days. Not just because they're 2 days, but just how they went, how I handled it, and how I kind of can equate it to recovery life, active addiction life, all that fun stuff. Um, so let's start off with Saturday. Saturday was let's see, for lack of a better words, it was a shit show day. Um, we had plans for one of my sons to go to like a play date with his friend, but he woke up throwing up in the middle of the night, so he obviously couldn't go. He wasn't feeling great. He was stuck on the couch for most of the morning. My other son was supposed to go to a play date with one of his friends, and I don't want to get into what happened, but it's just his behavior was not what it should be. And essentially, he had gotten himself grounded for the day, and it was just a fight back and forth. Um, he just kept doubling down, essentially. Like I said, I'm not going to go too into it, but essentially, he was grounded from like 10 in the morning until probably 5 at night, which is probably the longest he's ever spent in his room. Um, and in the meantime, there was a leak in one of our toilets in the house. So there was some water coming out of the reservoir in the back. So in my attempts to fix it, I had to get some hardware, equipment, whatever to fix it, and I finally fixed the reservoir. I get it all buttoned back up, not leaking anymore, all good. I go to tighten the bolts on the bottom of on the toilet to keep it on the floor there, over there, and first one, I cut the bolt down, I get the cap on, all good. Caulk it up, we're good, right? Second one, last one there, I start trying to cut the bolt down to get the cap on, and what happens? It's so rusted out that the bolt snaps. So what do I have to do? Now I have to take the whole thing off the floor, new wax ring, new everything. So now I'm literally 5 seconds from being done with my job. And now let's add a few hours to it. So now I got to go to Home Depot. I got to buy more stuff to try to fix this. So I do all that. I go to Home Depot. I get all the fun stuff to fix the bottom part of the toilet. And I get that fixed. And just as I'm about to be done with that, the top part starts to leak again. Now, of course, my brain is about to explode because I've already spent 3.5 hours on this between back and forth and fixing this and fixing that. And needless to say, I wanted to smash the thing into 1,000 pieces, but I did not, of course. Um, so I attempt to fix it. I take the top off again, try to reseal it in several different ways, and it just won't stop leaking. And all in all, I probably spent about 5 hours trying to fix this thing, taking it apart, putting it together, taking it apart, putting it together. Dealing with the stuff with my son. Um, it was just a very stressful day. And, the great thing over 18 months into recovery is you don't think, what can I do to stop feeling this way? I mean, whatever. This is just, not every day is going to be a good day, just like not every day in recovery is going to be a good day. So, uh, but I thought back to myself, like, I was thinking to myself, like, if I was in my 20s, the first thing I'd want to do is, grab a beer and a bag of something, or, in my gambling addiction here, I would have just wanted to say, F it, and go throw a few lineups in, or just stop thinking about it, or just think, oh man, if I could just win this large sum of money, I wouldn't even have to worry about doing this stuff. I could pay somebody to do this, or I could just buy a new this, or I could buy, or just get a whole friggin' new house, because I'm tired of all this fixing and fixing and fixing. Because that was a big issue for me. When any of these things would arise in the house, whenever I'd have a big expense, or something wouldn't be going right, I would just think, why can't I just earn enough money to just replace everything and buy new things and get a new house? And of course, that's not feasible. That's not how life works. Um, and I make good enough money to have a great, a great house and a great life. Um, But yeah, those are the thoughts that would go through my head. Um, so eventually, I just had to say, "That's it." I'd throw my hands up. This is not working out. Um, that's it for me today. I put a pause on it and said, "Tomorrow, I'm just gonna get a new toilet and just replace the whole thing. Enough of the aggravation." Um, but yeah, just like a day like that in my active addiction days, like, I just would have been so angry, so stressed, and I would have let it affect me to the point where all I could think about is, bringing me back to that thought process of, like, thinking that this large sum of money was going to fix all my problems. For a long time, I thought that is what I needed to fix all my problems. And obviously, if you've listened to any of this podcast or whatever, like, I've worked through this and realized that the money was never the issue. Um, so I was able to just say, you know what, I spent enough time trying to fix this thing. I did everything I could. And tomorrow is a new day. My son ended up getting out of his room and helping my wife out do some yard work. And he basically reset his attitude and way of thinking, and ended up having a good evening. And going into the next day, Sunday was a wonderful day. So Sunday was absolutely a better day. So Sunday, my first son, who was sick the day before, was thankfully better, and I was able to bring him on his play date that we had scheduled for that Saturday on that Sunday. He got to hang out with his buddy. We went to a trampoline park, and him and his friend were bouncing around for a while. I got to know his friend's father a bit more. It was nice connecting with somebody else. In my area who's a father, same age. And it was just a lot of fun to do that. Take the kids, just to go play together, connect with someone else in my community, hopefully develop a friendship there. And, it was a really, that was a great part of the day. Another great part of the day was my son, who had, difficulties the day before, was much better. He had a much happier day. He went to a birthday party with my wife, um, one of his classmates, and had a great time there. And we ended up going and getting a basketball later on. Actually, earlier in the day, I'm sorry. We got a basketball, and he wants to learn how to play basketball. So once I got back from the other thing with my younger son, I was able to take my older son down to some basketball courts in the area, and just to see the excitement in his face and his eyes and getting to make a few shots. He's still pretty young, and it's hard for him to get up to the a 10-foot hoop, but he made a few shots, and it was just great being down there with him. It's great getting to spend some one-on-one time with both my sons today. Um, so completely different than the day before, and also completely different from the day before was, instead of having a 5 hour wanting to smash my head and the toilet against the wall kind of day, before all of these excursions with the kids, my wife and I and the kids went to Old Home Depot together, and we picked out a few things, and I was able to take a new toilet home and install the thing within a half an hour. And what do you know? No leaks, all good, bolted to the floor, everything new. Oh, I was a happy camper. Oh, your buddy here, Steve, he was a happy, happy camper to get that thing all clicked up, no more leaking. Um, you know, everyone was happy. And let's just say, I was very happy to get that thing done, that thing installed relatively quickly and easily compared to the pain in the absolute freaking ass it was trying to do that yesterday. Um, yeah, and the way I kind of like, I'm trying to frame this, I guess, and how I saw it in my mind at the end of the day was like, that Saturday, like I said before, would be, in my days of addiction, I would be trying to find a way to get out of those negative feelings, catastrophizing, thinking that I'm never going to be able to fix this. This is always going to be a problem. There's always something wrong with this house. Did I make the wrong decision? Should I have gotten a different house? Like all these things going wrong I've talked about in different podcasts, and catastrophizing, thinking the only way to fix things is to pay someone else to do it, or to uh, just buy a brand new house, or whatever. The crazy thoughts would go through my head, and thinking the only way to solve that was through money. But instead, what happened? The next day, I got the proper equipment, the proper, just bought a new toilet, whatever. It wasn't crazy expensive, a couple $100. Um, Saved myself some time and aggravation, got that done, and was able to give myself a little old pat on the back, saying, "Oh, look, just another thing you've learned how to do as a homeowner." I know some of you are probably rolling your eyes, saying, "Oh, Steve, I could do that when I was 12 years old." Well, your friend here definitely could not do that. Yes. I was a musician and never learned how to fix things until I was in my late 20s. So there you go. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Just one of those little accomplishments. So when it was done, I was happy, and I was able to like reflect back and be like, okay, instead of catastrophizing, saying things are never going to get fixed, it's always going to be this way. Look, it was just a bad day. Things did not work out well. The next day I had a great day with both my sons. Um, my wife, my kids. It was just a fantastic Sunday. And just because I had a bad day on Saturday on multiple fronts doesn't mean that the next day is going to be, awful. And that's kind of what I've learned through this whole process is like, not every day is going to be a good day. Not every day I'm going to be happy. I'm going to run through life's issues. Life is going to come up, and I got to deal with this and kind of work through it with the tools I've learned, that I've outlined many, many a times. And yeah, that's how my weekend went. So I guess that's how I kind of, I don't know. I hope this thing sounds all right. It probably won't, but I just wanted to do a little thing here. But yeah, I mean, I just share this story because it kind of can relate to early recovery, or, inactive addiction, or say someone who relapses over and over again. Like I relapsed more times than I could count when I was in my active addiction, whether it was drugs in my 20s or gambling in my 30s. Like, I wish I would have learned this earlier, but I'm happy where I am on my journey, where it's like I would try to stop, would end up going back into it and just catastrophizing, saying, I did it again. I'm the horrible piece of garbage, or whatever, all the horrible things I would think about myself and say about myself, or, getting into this house and seeing all the things that had to get done, that if they didn't get done within that first few months or within that first year, that, it's a catastrophe, that it's never going to get fixed, or, I made the wrong decision, or I'm not doing enough, and all these things. And that's just not the case. I don't know. I've just, I'm happy today. Life is good today. And I couldn't be here. I couldn't be doing this. I couldn't have this mindset if I hadn't made the choice, to fully commit to recovery this time. And fully committing to recovery doesn't mean meetings every day for the rest of your life. I was definitely more active in meetings and more active in therapy and one-on-one stuff, early on. But eventually I've learned to kind of taper off but maintain the things that still work. Whereas in the past, at this point, I would just completely have cut it out, thought I had it, and that's not the case. I feel good about where I am today, and I'm very confident that I will continue this journey for the rest of my life, but I'm not going to stop doing the things that have worked for me, which is, meetings once a week. Or if I can't make a meeting that week, it's not the end of the world. I just make sure I make a phone call, or respond to a post on Reddit, or try to get, doing another podcast. That's why I'm doing this on my phone. Hopefully it sounds all right. I've probably said that 15 times, but I don't want to go months, a month or so in between each podcast anymore. Doing the podcast helps me in my recovery, helps me talking about this. Going on Reddit and seeing people who are in their early days and struggling through the early days of addiction, or people posting about their successes in their recovery, it helps me. Going into my Monday night meetings with my friends, and talking about what's going on in our lives and how we've worked through things, or helping the new person that comes into our group, that helps me. So thank you for even listening to this podcast. Thank you for being here, because this helps me. So just know that if you're listening to this, you are helping me in my recovery also. And I appreciate you very much. And I hope you keep listening. And hopefully my next one will be in my little office, computer room, whatever you want to call it, where there's an actual real microphone and I can do some real recording. But thank you for bearing with me. And I'll talk to you all soon. Be good to yourselves and each other. Bye.
Here's where to get help. You can call or text 1-800-522-4700. That's the National Council on Problem Gambling. Or you could call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537. This is where I found the link to my therapist through my local counselor. And then also, we cannot forget our affected others. My wife goes to Gam-Anon every week, and it's been a huge help to her. So anyone in your life who you feel like needs help, or you've affected through your gambling, you can go to gamanon.org, GAM-ANON.org. The number is 718-352-1671.